So finally, Draco makes her return on the JP side of things, and because this is one of my favorite servants of all time, you guys know that I had to make a video giving her more of a servant evaluation, and man, I was ready to come in here and talk about some of the faults with Draco, but I must have not used her in a little bit because, again, past events have been more of farming and I've been focused more on the NA side of things, but testing her out again and bringing her to some of these just large 1 million enemy fights, I forgot how much fun this unit is to use. Sure, does Draco have some flaws that we'll go over in this video? Yeah, but I remember why this was the number 5 unit for the top 5 units that we got last year on the JP side of things because, dude, she just smacks people with the force of 1 billion dying suns. It's probably the easiest way for me to just demonstrate how strong she is. And again, we took her to fight people that she didn't have power mods on, people that she had stuff like Dragon power mod on, and then we tested out the new CE that gave her the chaotic power mod against Bartholomew, but I was really hoping that I think the last run in this video where we go into Bartholomew with the Black Grail CE, that I was hoping we would be able to completely one-shot him because we nearly one-shot Liz because, you know, she's a dragon and that has the power mod. And it is just so satisfying as someone that does not have Oberon on JP, and I don't have a fully maximum broken Black Grail either. I have a dupe into it, thankfully, but I don't have the same setup that I have over on the NA side of things, and to be able to hit 1 million damage casually for free with no Oberon, no event power mod, no event CE, no nothing is one of the funniest, most laughable things I've ever seen. It is so crazy. So as someone who really likes Draco and as someone that has used them quite a bit, although apparently not as much as I thought recently, I mean, she's almost up to Bond 9 because I've been using her in events as a single target, but I think the last time I really started breaking her out again was, I believe, the Lotto that we just had over on JP, because I was using Ibuki for the AoE, and then I was using, you know, who else but Draco to pretty much clean the clocks off of some of these servants for the single target. But I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on her in more of an evaluation, and I'll do the review again whenever she comes out over on NA. But, you know, we already have the old review. If you want my initial thoughts, you can go check up on that. But ironically enough, I feel like my initial thoughts, I've come full circle on the Draco hype train because now I'm just back with giddy excitement from when she released. But, you know, as per usual, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But let's just start diving right into this. So the elephant in the room is, yes, she does a metric butt ton of damage, right? That can really be equated to not only her beast typing, but her power mod against 7 Knight Servant enemies. And if, you know, you're not familiar, maybe newer, you're like, what's a 7 Knight Servant enemy? Is that a lot of guys? Yeah, that's every Saber, Archer, Lancer, Rider, Assassin, Caster, and Berserker in the game, who she also has class advantage on. Think of her as a Berserker for all of the 7 main, you know, servant classes that we have, but none of the drawbacks. She doesn't take bonus damage or anything like that. This is a beast we're talking about, all right? And she is definitely a beast of a unit. And as you guys are going to be seeing throughout this video, when she has that super effective in that power mod, they really meant that she had that super effective in that power mod. And even later on, I'm going to start pairing her with Lady Avalon, because I don't know why I wasn't doing that initially. I don't know why I was plug seating in Waver. But not only getting to overclock that power mod on her overcharge by putting someone like Castoria in front of her, who also gives her an attack buff, but then having Lady Avalon to give her that one extra bit of overcharge to put her at OC3 at NP1, can you believe I almost went on the banner thinking, man, I gotta go for NP2 Draco because I feel like I'm not doing enough damage. But I was like, you know what? Let me do the video first. Let me make sure that I'm not a crazy person. And turns out, yeah, I'm a complete maniac because imagine how much damage you'd be doing at NP2, you know, where you get the largest damage jump between NP1 to 2. That is the most sizable, you know, difference in NP levels. Imagine that. Imagine an NP5 Draco and how much havoc and mayhem you're going to be able to wreak on all of the enemies. And I have gone on record and said that, well, her NP is a little bit plain. It does do a massive amount of damage, but, you know, there's no Pierce Invul, there's no Pierce defense on it, although she does have that on her 3rd skill, but, you know, there's no fancy bells and whistles. But maybe there doesn't have to be. When you're doing this absurd amount of damage, maybe she would be a little too good if she actually had Pierce Invincibility. And for that matter, I know a lot of people say, oh, well, Draco really should have something like a battery, because she does, as, you know, her gameplay and how I've been talking about her would suggest, she has the Unga Bunga Buster deck, you know, triple Buster card, 1 quick, 1 arts. And while she does give herself 10% NP every single turn for 6 turns on a 7-turn cooldown, so basically she's always going to have that trinkle of NP coming in thanks to her first skill, and then, you know, obviously people like Lady Avalon will give her NP over time, or you could just load her up with supports like Castoria's Waivers, whatever you got to just keep this girl with the NP spam. But maybe a battery would be a little too good because, like I mentioned earlier, I used her for the lottery, right? Like, she was my single target to chunk the large enemies that I was fighting, and I'll say she did a really good job at doing that, because it's not just the power mod, right? They also just give her, for whatever reason, I don't know why they thought this was okay, but they just gave her a 40% attack buff for 3 turns, you know, the monster strength buff that people like Gorgon have, but those are usually limited to, well, maybe it's like 2 times for 2 turns, or maybe you only get it for 1 or maybe 2 turns, but they just chucked that her way and said, nah, give her this big attack buff, let her just go absolutely ham-taro, and why she also, you know, for CQ seals enemy skills and gives her a whole smorgasbord of different abilities. I mean, the Roman power mod, sure, that's fine. You know, maybe that's not the craziest thing, except they gave us a Romulus command code that lets you smack Roman onto people, so you could theoretically say put this on a Buster card or something. Smack them with the Buster card first, so then they get the Roman trait put on them, and then boom, there you go. Now you have an extra 40% damage. You know, fantastic. That's not broken at all. But then, you know, it also just happens that the other power mod, oh, Dragon, you know, just happens to be all over the place. I mean, there's no shortage of dragon servants, and certainly no shortage of dragon enemies that we see practically every single event. And then they just, you know, smacked it with everything else. They said, you know, just regen stars for yourself so you can crit all over the place. You know, let's just let you heal as well. Have a little bit of debuff immunity. And you know, we already said that you were charging your NP gauge every single turn on the first skill. What if we gave you 20% more for 3 turns? So for 3 out of those 6 turns, you're getting 30% back. Not to also mention, you might have a stack of Lady Avalon's NP, so you could be getting anywhere from 15 to 35% every single turn. And then almost the kind of insulator against, I suppose if you want to call it the power creep of more modern bosses that love to remove our buffs, she also just slaps buff removal resistance of 100% for 1 time. So that's also nice. You know, she's giving herself a billion buffs, and I guess it would be frustrating for you to just lose all of those instantaneously. So they just slapped a little sticky stuff on there, you know, make sure none of that's going to be going away. Regardless, she's absolutely phenomenal. In fact, I might just start taking Draco to every single boss that comes out as long as they're, you know, 7 normal classes, because their damage outside of the normal 7 classes is a little to be desired. But I might just start bringing her to other bosses and just have Draco be my new Gilgamesh. If you're unfamiliar, I kind of had this ongoing bit where every single boss that came out, I would use Gilgamesh to beat them up, because Gilgamesh is my favorite Fate character. But I might just start doing that with Draco. I might just start bringing her out to just smack these people. I don't want to say with the Holy Fist of God, because I'm pretty sure that would not be accurate considering what she's a beast of. So I'll just say with the power of a billion dying suns, again, we'll just reuse that one. But it really does make me want to bring her to any boss that I see that is the, you know, normal classes. But I stopped doing that, I remember it a couple months ago, like maybe a few months after she came out, because it was an absolute slobber knocker. Like, she would just absolutely knock these guys flat on their back, and I wasn't even engaging with the challenge of the bosses anymore. We were just blowing their backs out before they even had a chance to do anything. So I know everybody's already going to be summoning for Draco when she comes out, what, next April, something along those lines. But I'll at least let you know that, what, about a year after she's released, or it's a year and a couple of months now because it was last April, she's still holding up. I mean, sure, would I have liked them to throw on something on the NP, you know, maybe give it Pierce Invul, or maybe even give her like a 30% battery so it would be more convenient to do farming with her for single target nodes? Maybe, but fact is, double Castoria already gets you up to 100% of your NP, which is why I was able to get away with using her in some 90 plus and 90 plus nodes, because I just give all the NP to her, and then Ibuki or somebody would just use their battery or something along those lines. But yeah, she definitely is holding up, and I mean, as you can see in the background, she is doing absurd amounts of damage. And now, the roughest thing is that we kind of put ourselves in a predicament over here on the JP side of things, that Anniversary is right around the corner, and the JP players did them to themselves. They put Draco back on radar by voting for her, and so now if you're playing JP, there is a real conniption of whether or not you summon for Draco, who you know is going to be really good, or do you wait for Anniversary, because while Anniversary is really famous for bringing out broken servants like Koyanskaya, Scotty, Castoria, it also has a couple of servants that are definitely good, but they're not the most game-breakingly broken. You know, think of original Da Vinci or Sherlock Holmes. They're very good, especially Da Vinci when she came out was really nice to have, but they weren't game-breakingly busted. I mean, even someone like Da Vinci Rider is a very strong servant, but I think I'd rather have somebody like Draco who covers all 7 of the main classes, as opposed to one looper who is really good at their job, but again, she does the job of all 7 main class servants. I mean, that's crazy. And to be fair, after last year's anniversary, people might just be more willing to go summon for Draco because Ace is really good, but with the asterisk that you own Koyanskaya, which is really frustrating for me because I don't own Koyanskaya and I went for NP2 because it's still Morgan. I still gotta get her in my Chaldea. But it is frustrating that I feel like I'm locked behind not getting her full power because I don't have the correct support to be using her with. And so maybe something like that hits for anniversary. Or, I don't know, maybe we get a new absolutely godly extra attack support type servant. I don't even know what that would look like, but hey, I would be totally down for that. But anyway, yeah, enough speculation. If you're on the JP side of things and you're wondering, do I go summon for Draco or do I wait for anniversary? Me personally, I am fighting back with every fiber of my being to not go summon for NP2 because she is just so darn good and I'm going to be using her all the time. It's like getting an AoE Berserker for farming, you know? It's just crazy. She just locks down that role, but except for all the classes with none of the drawbacks, so it's hard to not go for NP2. But since I already have her, and as you guys can see, she performs rather well, I'm probably going to hold out for anniversary. But if you're wondering if she's worth it, she's definitely worth it. I think she's really strong. Again, she was number 5 on my list for the top 5 servants we got last year for a good reason. So with that being said, let me know if you're going to be summoning on the Draco banner over on the JP side of things. I'll hope that this video is going to be your catalyst and wish you the best of luck. But with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day, and I'll catch you on the flippity floppity.